Hey everyone, finally got the camera set up again. Today I wanted to talk about the next part of the series of more niche genres that I'm inspired by, specifically angel mixes and devil mixes. And so again, this stems from the world of grime music. So essentially what they are is they come from this tape here from Wiley. And so these are mainly instrumentals. I think he's done some freestyles over some of them, but it was all just pretty sparse grime music. And eventually he went and took the drums out of a lot of these tracks. So one that we see here is Ice Rink. So this one, I'll play a little bit of it so you can get an idea. But essentially it was just like pretty sparse production. Oh, here we go. So already we can hear some early predecessors to some of the deconstructed club stuff, some of the cybergrime stuff that I previously talked about, and we hear some familiar sounds across grime, as well as the ice rink click that I had previously talked about in the Icy Lake documentary that I mentioned at the end of my last video. So I don't think that he made the ice rink click. The Icy Lake video that I previously talked about, that track came out in the 90s and had that sound. This came out around the early 2000s. And yeah, so I don't think he made this sound, but a lot of people in the grime scene refer to it as the ice rink click. So if I go to Ableton here, I have this sample pack that I downloaded, I think from like r/drum kits, or you can find it somewhere online. And so we do have some of these clicks here. The other one, I'm not quite sure where it comes from, but we do have some other recognizable sounds, such as the bugoo flute. So yeah, there is some speculation as to where it came from. A lot of people thought it came from the Korg Triton, as that was being used a lot. There is this gliding squares preset, and so that is used a lot in grime. So if I just play this little riff here that I have, already very grime-esque sounding. And so we hear that in a lot of other stuff that's more current as well. Like, for example, St. John Hawk and Zora Jones, someone who I talk about very frequently, they use this sound a lot, or they'll use other iterations of that sound, and will use it in similar grime patterns like this. But they'll even do that with like other sounds, specifically a lot with like vocal and choir samples. And so anyways, there is this thread here where they talk about where the bugoo flute might come from, and it's this plugin called Plug Sound. I was not able to download it. It is a PC plugin. I'm on Mac currently, but I think I tried to download this before on my PC, and it was like a .dll file, and I couldn't get it to show up. So you can try to get it to work, but realistically, the sample is probably the best way you could do it. The other thing is, I think I have it in these other tabs here. Yes, this. So there's speculation that the ice rink click comes from this Planet Fats emu. There is this pack of sounds that you can download, but I didn't find it in here. There's a couple other sounds that kind of sound familiar. But yeah, I couldn't find it in this. So it's a bit of a mystery as to where the sound comes from. It could have been something that was heavily manipulated, and yeah, it's just one of those things that's just hard to come across. But anyway, so now that we've talked a bit about some of the sounds, let's actually play some of this music. So here is just the original instrumental, and then I have here the angel mix for starters. So we'll play this. So yeah, you kind of get the idea. It's just a typical kind of grime instrumental from that time. And then we have...
And this one's special. We're not rapping. You get me?
So as you hear, there's still some drums in there, but it's a lot more sparse. This sounds like it's been pitched and sped up a bit as well. I mean, it's from a radio rip. So a lot of tracks... Let's see, this is also an Angel mix. Let me find an actual Devil mix that I pulled up. Here's one. So here is an example of a Devil mix.
Reload, that's stress. No fan base, that's stress. Look around the room, they can see it in your face, that's stress. Loud, let me show man about stress. From your stress, no reloads, that's stress. No fan base, that's stress. Look around the room, they can see it on your face, that's stress. It's a hit and run. I said hit and run. Look, this one's a hit and run. They wanna know I was spit one bar when it's set quick. Look off the tape.
So yeah, and then now this. Yeah, it's interesting because like I hear this and it just feels so much harder in a way. And so that was kind of the idea when it came to Devil mixes and Angel mixes, is that they felt more darker and then the Angel mixes felt more angelic. Eventually they started being called bass mixes instead of Devil mixes, because Wiley got into a car crash and thought that he was being cursed by the devil. So he changed it to bass mixes. There's also this one-off Igloo bass mix as well, which came from his track Igloo from this same tape. If we see right here, there's Igloo. And so, yeah, it all sort of stemmed from this Wiley tape, as well as there was the Esky beat. So I have a Devil's mix of Eskimo, but essentially Esky beat came from the name Eskimo. So all of this kind of, I mean, if we go back, you can see that it's called Avalanche music. We got Ice Rink, Igloo, Eskimo. It was all just very cold and like not necessarily snow, but it was just like all cold related. And one word that I've used a lot throughout my production is like I'm looking for cold sounds. And so it's funny that, you know, as I was like learning about this, he was specifically going for cold sounds and really embodied that with like the artwork, the name of the project, as well as some of the names of these songs. So, even this colder bass mix, like, yeah, there was a lot of just like things pointing towards that. And so eventually, you know, we have like these other genres, like I said, like Deconstructed Club, the cyber grime stuff, which I've covered previously. There's also the evolution of the Angel and Devil mixes called Weightless music, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. But yeah, so all of this stuff is really fascinating and kind of became the sound palette for a lot of the other genres that I became really fascinated by. Another sound that isn't necessarily tied to Wiley and the Angel and Devil mixes specifically, but is also used a lot, is the Pulse X bass. I believe I talked about that in my previous video too. But the Pulse X bass came from, what's his name? Youngstar. Yeah, so let me just find... Yeah, as you can see, there are some tutorials for it if you want to go and make it. So here we go.
Youngstar, DJ Production.
Yes, so essentially this beat just kind of loops back and forth, but that bass became extremely iconic. And so if we go back to the sound pack here, we do have some 808s. You know, we have these 808s that are sort of inspired by the Pulse X bass. And yeah, like I said, there are some tutorials online that you can watch to go and create that bass. There's one in Massive, there's one in Serum. I didn't get very good results when I did the Serum one, but if you have Massive, you can get a pretty good recreation from it here. Yeah, so outside of that, this was all happening around the early 2000s when Wiley was experimenting with a lot of these sounds, Esky Beat, the Angel and Devil mixes, etc. And then around the 2010s, like the start of 2010s, we start seeing stuff like Weightless. And so if I go back to YouTube, there is a Weightless grime. Pretty sure there's a playlist for Weightless grime. And so there was one album that really kind of capitalized on the not capitalized, but it really pushed Weightless into a new territory, and that was the Locust and Mum Dance album that I had talked about previously, that was also very focused on the cyber grime sound. So this really was a compilation that was showcasing the Weightless and the cyber grime sound. So if we play some of them, essentially you're not really going to hear any drums on any of these, and if you are, it's going to be very minimal. But it got pushed into this deeper sort of cyber sound palettes where it's even more colder, it's even more robotic, it's even more, like I said, like factory sounding, or warehouse, just more metallic instead of cold. And so I'll kind of jump in. It was just a very like dark sound. Yeah, as you can hear, like very mechanical. Yeah, so there's this side of things that got pretty experimental, but then on the opposite side, we have this other compilation that I really like that showcases more of the Angel, or the evolution of the Angel mixes, as well as the Weightless stuff. So is it? Yes, this one. So we have, there was one in particular. Oh yes, this. So we have that one. We also have this artist Igloo.